Hello, it's Jamie J. Getting started here a little bit late with Live with Bottleneck with a special edition with Dorie Clark. She's been so kind in dealing with my challenges today, my tech challenges. So we're going to go ahead and jump into this really quick. I will get this thing started. So just bear with us. And let me introduce you to Dorie Clark here in just a moment. Hello, my name is Jamie J. I'm the host of Live with Bottleneck, where we help stop the bottleneck in your business and in life. And today we're talking to none other than the wonderful Dorie Clark. I first got to interview Dorie July 29th, 2015. And I was a huge follower of her then, and I'm even a bigger follower of hers today. Dorie is the author, branding, and communications coach of The Long Game is her latest book that she has out now. And why can Dorie help you stop the bottleneck in your business? Let me tell you, Dorie is an adjunct professor at Duke University's Fuqua School of Business and the author of Entrepreneurial You, Reinventing You, and Stand Out, which was named the #1 leadership book of 2015 by Inc. magazine. She's a former presidential campaign spokeswoman, a New York Times. Oh my gosh, she's done just about everything that I would ever aspire to do and more. And she's just such a wonderful human being. She's a frequent contributor to the Harvard Business Review. She consults and speaks for clients, including Google, Microsoft, and World Bank. You can download her free Entrepreneurial You self-assessment workbook and learn more at DorieClark.com/entrepreneur. So without any further ado, let's hop into this. And Dorie, thank you so much.
Hey, Jamie, good to be here. Thanks.
Oh my gosh. I know we're pressed for time today. And so I want to jump into this as quick as possible. But for some reason, if somebody doesn't know who you are, I wonder if you could tell them a little bit who you are and a little bit of your background. And then I want to talk about the long game.
Yes, it's very long and there are a lot of O's involved. That is all true. Well, yeah, you mentioned some of the highlights. I teach at Duke. I write books. I do a lot of thinking about strategic thinking. I did a course for LinkedIn Learning on strategic thinking that more than 1.2 million people have taken by now, which is pretty cool. But mostly I like to think about my work as helping talented individuals and good companies get their message heard in a crowded and noisy environment.
Yeah, and thank you very much for that. That's a huge accomplishment on LinkedIn Learning because there's so many different courses out there. But fantastic, good kudos to you. That's wonderful. How was that experience?
Well, it's been a pretty cool experience. I just found out actually last week they announced that the LinkedIn Learning course, Strategic Thinking, was the #2 most popular course on the entire platform last year. There are more than 16,000 courses, and as a result, actually, LinkedIn has made the top 20 courses available for free between the beginning of September and October 15th. So if anyone is actually watching this live and is inspired, you can go into LinkedIn Learning, look up strategic thinking, or you can actually look up my other course, Interpersonal Communications, which is also on the top 20 list. And you can access those for free, even if you don't have a LinkedIn Learning account, and also even if you don't have a LinkedIn account.
You know what? Thank you for sharing that. I think it's really important. And this may be an uncomfortable question. I know you get tons of them, but what you're inspiring to so many people, including myself. I've learned so much. Even how I do my little live streams now. I learned that from Dorie Clark. So I'm wondering, is that how do you keep coming up and reinventing yourself and stay top of mind, and like how the long game, right? Like, who knew we were going to be here 5 years ago, but here we are. How do you continue to keep reinventing yourself and making yourself relevant?
Well, thank you. I appreciate the compliment behind the question. That's very kind. I will say that, for me in writing The Long Game, a lot of it really was inspired just by my personal philosophy that I've developed over the years. And certainly I interviewed and profiled a lot of other professionals who have been successful at being long-term strategic thinkers to understand how they did it. But for me, I try to keep two realities going at the same time. One is really, thinking big about long-term goals, because let's call them 10-year, 20-year goals, because I think a lot of professionals get hung up because they feel like, oh, well, I can't really create this 10-year goal because I don't know how I would do it. That's the point. It's 10 years. It would be ridiculous for you to assume that you would know how to do, like, every one of the 30,000 steps between here and there. You don't, of course. It's actually very liberating to realize that if you set a goal, you don't need to know how to do it. All you need to do is take the first step, and then from there you take another step. And every step along the way, you are going to get more clarity in terms of what is necessary to achieve that goal. So I feel very comfortable having kind of big amorphous long-term goals because I don't feel pressure to know how to do them. And then simultaneously, I just really try to focus on controlling the things that I can control, which is what is the small action that I can take today that will hopefully make things easier or better in the future.
So this has been something I've been struggling with, and I've been trying to share this with others that have been struggling the same. There's a big difference for me in clarity versus direction. I know I need to get to this place on the other side of the mountain. I can't see it, and I don't know what rocks are going to come falling down or what bears are going to chase after me or whatever, but I'll have to change, zig and zag a little bit in order to finally see where I'm looking at. And that to me is clarity. There's also another thing, and I wonder if maybe you can challenge me on this or maybe enlighten me. But I think goals are dangerous, in my opinion, because without any objectives in order to achieve that goal, not only if you achieve it, what happens next, but what do you do to get there to know that you're still maintaining your mission to lead up to that, achieving that vision or that aspiration of where you want to get to.
Yeah. Well, I think you raise a good point. And a lot of times people might quibble about terminology, right? I think sometimes the people with a philosophical bent might say, well, what's the difference between a vision and a strategy and goals and objectives and tactics? And well, you need one, but you don't need the other. And at the end of the day, it's kind of like, who cares, right? Like, so I want to make sure that for anybody listening who sort of zeroes in on the words, it's not really the words that matter here. People kind of use them in related ways or different ways. But I think that you raise an important point, Jamie, which is, ultimately, you have to have both pieces, right? You have to have a direction that you're headed, and because otherwise, how are you going to mark success? Hey, if you literally don't care where you end up, then anything's fine. but theoretically, you have some kind of a direction that you're heading towards, so you can mark your progress against it. And there is almost always, in whatever your objective is, there's if it's a big enough goal, there's kind of a gap between saying I'm going to do this thing and then actually being able to accomplish it. That could be 6 months, it could be a year, it could be 10 years. And it is very easy in that interval to get discouraged and to feel like, oh man, I don't know if I'm making any progress. I have no idea. I'm like in this dark tunnel, right? And so ultimately, it's really important to be monitoring things. I call it strategic patience, because it's not just sitting back and waiting for things to happen. It's creating a hypothesis, and it is tracking your progress against it to make sure, all right, am I actually heading in the right direction? Is this still the right plan?
I love that. I think it's really important to share that. I think a lot of people too, they do get lost in those words and they overthink a lot of what it is they're doing. And I think it's important for people to understand that, just one foot in front of the other, because no matter what, next year is going to get here. But what are you going to do to get to next year?
Yeah, that's exactly right. A story that I like to tell, which I feel like, you know, whenever people raise kids, like people sort of know, okay, this is true, right? It's not what you say, it's what you do. It's those are the lessons your kids are picking up. But one example that really stayed with me, because it was so dramatic, was when I was 13 years old. I got braces. And
These are very nice.
well, thank you. Thank you. Yes. Good investment. Thanks, mom. Thanks, dad. So I was 13 years old. A lot of 13-year-olds get braces. Like pretty much everyone in my class had braces. My mother got braces at the same time. She was in her 50s and she got braces. And all of her friends, none of whom had braces in their 50s, were like, "What are you doing? Are you crazy?" And she said, "Hey, I just decided I could be 2 years older, or I could be 2 years older with straight teeth." And I thought, boom, that's actually really powerful, because the time is going to pass anyway. So who do you want to be 2 years from now?
I love it. I love it. So what's next for you?
So, so the immediate next depends how long term we're talking. But the immediate next is I am going to be spending a lot of time talking about this book, The Long Game. It launches September 21st. So I am going on a publicity blitz for this to help make people aware of it and everything that it's doing. But I would say longer term than that, something I actually write about in The Long Game. I have a whole section about 20% time, which some folks who follow these things may be familiar with Google, which popularized the concept where they let their employees, or they encourage their employees, to spend up to 20% of their time on tasks or projects that are outside their regular job description. They're kind of more speculative, or just something that they're interested in that they think can help benefit the company. It's how Gmail was invented. It's how Google News was invented. I think that we should all create 20% time for ourselves, whether you work for yourself or you work for someone else. I think it's really important to bake in speculative bets. And so for me, my 20% time for the past 5 years, I have worked on developing a sideline in musical theater. And so I have written a musical. I've graduated from a musical theater program. And so my 10-year goal that I created back in 2016 was to get a show on Broadway for the 2026 season. So that is what I'm working towards.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. I don't know how many people know, but you've worked with Emmy-winning jazz group, I'm assuming is that what you call it?
Yeah, Grammy, actually. That's
Grammy,
like
sorry.
the gramophone.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
No,
So
it's okay.
and they don't know that you also do stand-up comedy.
Yeah, I try to be a little bit of a Renaissance person where I can. Absolutely. You got to spice things up, man.
It's just amazing to me. You're young, and look at all the stuff you've accomplished. I cannot wait to see another 5 years go by and what's happening then. I wish you all the best and everything that you're doing, and with your book, The Long Game. Is there one takeaway besides the 20% that we might be able to? Or let me ask this: where is someone in their life to buy The Long Game? Like what would that help somebody with that's having a problem right now?
Yeah. Well, what I will suggest is, we have all had a little bit of a collective problem for the past 18 months. And I would define that as enforced short-term thinking because of the pandemic. All the plans we had, all the great things we thought we were going to do in March and April of 2020, gone. And what we had to do of necessity is strengthen our muscles about short-term thinking, about adapting to change, about pivoting, about being agile. These are all important things. Yay, we need them. They are very necessary sometimes. And also, it's not the way to live your life all the time. Because if all we do is keep pivoting, if all we do is keep being reactive, we're not going to set our own agenda. So if we really collectively, as individuals and as a society, want to take back control from COVID, if we want to actually start saying, you know what, it's time to get back to normal. I mean, leaving aside public health concerns, that's its own animal, but psychologically, we have control over how we are thinking about things. And I think that it is time for us to embrace long-term thinking again, because you know what? even if it turns out that we do have to pivot or we do have to change things, we might. Who knows how things will come out? But setting those goals and the act of setting that future vision of where we want to end up is a really important step in taking the control and saying, no, I'm going to direct my life. So for me, that is what playing the long game is actually about. And I'll just mention, Jamie, for your listeners who might be interested, I have a free resource, which is the Long Game Strategic Thinking Self-Assessment. And if anyone is interested in that, they can get it at DorieClark.com/the long game.
DorieClark.com/the long game. Well, Dorie, I understand you've got to get going on to your next appointment. Thank you so much. How do people get in touch with you?
Yeah, thank you. My website's the best place, DorieClark.com. They've got the free self-assessment you can get there. And of course, the book again is The Long Game, How to Be a Long-Term Thinker in a Short-Term World. And you can get it all the bookie places you can buy books.
Well, thank you, Dorie. Thank you so much. I'll go ahead and wrap up. Feel free to leave. We'll follow up with you and let you know how we're going to support you along the way there. And thank you so much for your time, and best of luck with the book. And it was a pleasure talking with you again.
Thank you, my man. It is always a treat to see you, Jamie. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone watching, and take care.
All right. Have a great one. So that was Dorie Clark. We had a little bit of technical difficulties. That would be on me. Thank the Lord for wonderful Raina to help me get this sorted. It's been a pleasure talking with Dorie Clark. Seriously, go buy this book, The Long Game. You can go to our website, DorieClark.com/the long game. She's got a nice little download there for you. Dorie is absolutely amazing. If you don't know Dorie Clark, do some research. She's full of information, and she's a personal inspiration for myself. And she actually was endorsed my new book called Quit Repeating Yourself. So you can go to my website, quitrepeatingyourself.com, and you can see her endorsement there for Quit Repeating Yourself, how today's leaders are using systems and processes to grow their business the right way. So that was really, really nice of her to do something like that. Again, if you want to see more shows like this one, you can go learn how to break through the bottleneck in your business today and your life by going to Bottleneck.Online/BTV. That stands for Bottleneck Television. And you can learn a lot more from other amazing business minds in this world. And again, if you missed my previous conversation with Daniel Kroc, he's the personal CFO at Atmos Planning. We talked about linking legacy and vision to wealth and quality of life for entrepreneurs. Our conversation was wonderful. We talked about how to live a legacy and how to grow your personal wealth while exploring opportunities to grow your business. It was a really interesting conversation. And thanks to Daniel's service as a veteran, it was a really good conversation. Coming soon to your earbuds here in about, I want to say about another hour, I'm going to be talking with Gerard Norman. He's the CEO of Gerard Marketing. And we're going to be talking about how to hire employees that work 24/7 and 365 days a year. So that's going to be a pretty awesome conversation. And then we're also going to be talking next Tuesday with Gio Marcus. She's a celebrity copywriter of Gio Marcus Copywriting. We're going to be talking about high converting copy. That is definitely something that all of us would love to learn how to do better, right? So looking forward to that next Tuesday. Stay tuned. Come right back here in about another hour. We're going to have another live conversation on Live with Bottleneck with Gerard. And again, thanks so much for tuning in. Special thanks to Dorie Clark, the amazing author of The Long Game. Go check it out. You can go to DorieClark.com. That's D-O-R-I, and I'll put it up here on the banner one more time, DorieClark.com, DorieClark.com. Go check it out. Much thanks to her for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions for this and you're watching it in the replay, please let me know, or just simply reach out to Dorie. She is absolutely amazing. And so I just want to give a quick shout out to her for being so flexible with us today. Thank you so much. Have a great one. And don't forget, create your own ripple. We'll talk to you again soon.